So guys, let me start with this. How would you like to get posts like this made about you from your partner? And for a lot of you watching this, this might seem like an impossibility to you right now, especially given how dire or how special, how different or how crazy bad things are right now in your relationship. But I want you to know that Quentin got here to these outcomes right here, to the point where his partner is sending him texts and emails and pictures every single time, celebrating their relationship. And he got all this from the starting point of his partner wanting to have an open relationship, having no hope for the future between her and him, having no hope for ever reconciling even. So Quentin started from a very, very dire situation to where he is today. And in this interview, I want to show you exactly how he did this. So we're going to be talking about some very controversial, very different topics in this interview here. So one, we're going to look at this controversial topic of affairs and show you a very, very different way of looking at it and dealing with it and handling it and thriving through it that actually creates for a better relationship without bitterness, without anger, without angst, etc. Number two, I'm going to show you why she will really, really test you in what we call the paradox of change and why it's important that you have to be able to thrive through this test and why these tests will 100% happen. Number three, we're going to talk about being bulletproof. We're going to talk about the many misconceptions people have about being bulletproof and why it's crucial that you understand these misconceptions and don't fall into them yourself. Number four, we're going to talk about this crucial skill of antithetically observing and understanding, because being able to antithetically think like this is going to be the crucial foundation for you to create safety. Number five, we're going to talk about how therapists actually killed his relationship, actually made things worse, and how you need to be thinking differently so that you are ensuring that whatever advice you're getting is the right advice. Number six, we're going to talk about why no one's situation is really that unique and why behind any relationship problems, no matter how complex it seems, no matter how dire it seems, they're all rooted in the same thing, which is emotional and psychological safety. So all that coming up in this interview, guys. If you are in a position where you are finding yourself in a dire situation, in a hopeless situation, I want you to stay to the end, because the 6 takeaways here are going to be crucial takeaways for you in being able to help you thrive through this difficult time that you're in right now. So with that said, I'll start with the interview right now. Let's go, guys. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another video. Today, I have Quentin Wheeler-Bell, and he's been a client of mine since January of 2022. It's now, we're recording this early June. So it's about 6 months since you joined. And I guess I'll just let Quentin tell his story here. Quentin, I guess start with, before even you joined the program, there was already quite a bit of turmoil in the relationship in your own life as well. I guess start there. What were things like before you found me, even before you found the YouTube videos even?
Oh, wow. So what happened is I had recently had a divorce, had a custody issue with my daughter. And also during the time that I had a divorce, my mother had some really personal battles that are going on, found out that she was almost dead, right? And this is in the middle of COVID, right? So my brother and I are having to navigate my mother's situation and a divorce. And come to find out at that time, my brother is about to face a divorce, right? So we're both navigating divorces. We're both sitting there trying to figure out how to take care of our mother through COVID. And my mother lives in a different state, and my brother lives in a different state. And then at the time, I meet my girlfriend, now fiance, and we have this initial spark, really, really passionate spark, and intention just flies, right? And we're grinding axes early on while in the middle of dealing with custody issues, dealing with my mom. And at that time, for my life, it's just everything's hitting the fan, right?
Yeah.
And my fiance, she's a therapist, and we're trying to figure out why we are constantly grinding axes. What's happening? Why? So we're trying to read books. We're trying to find out about different things. I'm understanding some of her past trauma. I'm understanding trauma. And in that time is when I then start stumbling upon your YouTube videos. to sort of understand and get an understanding of what's happening both in my relationship with my fiance now, but what's happening in my life. Like, why is this all of a sudden just falling apart right in front of my eyes? So that's really how I get introduced to your videos inside of this larger context.
Yeah. So just to recap, I think it's almost like when it rains, it pours for you at that point in time.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't just about you dealing with the whole mess around the divorce, but also you said your brother was getting divorced as well.
Yes.
Your mom was getting sick. And it seems like there was not enough internal shifts, basically, or internal strength, internal ability to be able to take all of that stuff, thrive under it, and thrive in that relationship that you're trying to build at that time as well.
Absolutely.
And so we're going to talk more about this, the importance of these internal shifts as well, and so on later on. But, you know, what's interesting too is like a lot of people looking at your story right now is going to think like, oh, my situation is a bit different because I'm still trying to save this relationship that is breaking down right now, right? I'm not in a new relationship yet.
Yes.
And people often think that having new relationships is easy. Like, absolutely. If I get a divorce, then people say, well, I'll just meet someone else then. But here's another example where you meet someone else and you keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again. Because I think if you look at your current relationship and how it was breaking down, and the reasons why your previous relationship broke down, I mean, what are the similarities there?
Absolutely.
A lot.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think we're going to talk about this later, which is like in every relationship instance or every relationship breaking down instances of that, it always starts with a lack of emotional safety and psychological safety for both people. Mm-hmm. And precisely speaking, what destroys that emotional and psychological safety is the lack of internal shifts that we have to deal with life's problems, to deal with conflicts, to deal with resistances, etc. as well. And that's the hardest part. So we're going to dive into that a bit. So for people who are listening to this, who are saying like, oh, Quentin's case is easy because he started a new relationship. He didn't have it easy. I mean, tell me like, how much resistance were you getting when you joined the program, right? How much resistance were you getting? How tough were things for you in terms of your partner not believing your changes, not believing who you are, not believing what you can do, not believing in the potential of the relationship anymore? I mean, it was pretty bad too, right?
Whew. Absolutely. Absolutely. The resistance was thick, and it was thick early. My partner and I both decided we needed a separation, and we came to that mutually. It was like, and part of how I came to the separation is I watched the YouTube video that you had on when is a good time to take a separation or not. And one of the things that was said in the video was, you can take a separation, but if you don't work on the shifts internally, when you come back, you're going to repeat the same pattern. And at that point, I thought, I have to transform. I have to be somebody. I have to be a different person when I come back. But, you know, when I came back, my partner, she wanted an open relationship. She was like, I want an open relationship. You know, I'm not sure you can make these changes. And because I don't know if you can make these changes, I can't live in a relationship with you. I can't live in a relationship feeling emotionally neglected, feeling these things. And in fact, the time that I am coming back to talk to her, I'm meeting one of the guys she wants to have an open relationship with.
That's awkward. Right? I mean, that's crazy, right? So I just want people to understand the gravity of your situation here, because it wasn't just that like, oh, he picked a new relationship. Things were okay. They weren't that great, but you know, it's easy.
Yeah.
No, you both mutually decided, dude, let's separate. We're not good for each other right now, right? And this is a person who you're supposed to get married to, engaged to, etc. And she said, let's out. Yeah. So you took some space, you came back, and it seems like when you came back, things didn't get better, because when you were apart, she was probably thinking about all these confirmation biases, the negative confirmation biases about you and what you can't do, what you're not capable of. And she's reliving a lot of the bad moments here. And she's actually feeling worse about the relationship. So the separation here is making her feel worse about it. When you came back to a lot of resistance, a lot of just distrust about your changes. And in fact, she recommends we have an open relationship, which is devastating to hear when you have it in your dreams, in your mind, to be like, I'm gonna get married to this woman.
Absolutely. And it was interesting is luckily in that time of the open relation of our separation, that's when I joined the program.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm doing my work. And I told her before, because I knew when I wanted a separation after watching the video, I was joining the program. And I said to her, I'm coming back transformed.
Yeah. But even when you did the program, I remember, I'm going to show like a quick snapshot here or scroll down, I guess, of how much work you did in the program. And I want to talk about that too, like, because the work you did is amazing. It's incredibly hard work to really master, learn, and really get to the point where this becomes your programming.
Yes.
Because when you started to change, we're going to talk about this too, you felt what we call the paradox of change too, which is your partner's resistance went up even more when you start to change.
Absolutely.
Right? Because she wanted to make sure, like, are your changes real or not? So she was testing you every step of the way, and the resistance went up. And I think a lot of people in these moments, right? Like, to look at people's paradigms and how they see relationships. A lot of people in your position would have already given up many times over. They would have given up when their partner told them, I want a separation. They would have given up when their partner told them, I want an open relationship.
Mm-hmm.
They would have given up when their partner starts to do a lot of this resistance to really test you. But again, the current paradigm people have about relationships today is kind of broken.
Yeah.
Right. So before I want to talk about kind of how things are now and everything like that, what made you push through all of those obstacles?
Honestly, by joining the program and understanding the nature of resistance, understanding the nature of internal shifts, understanding that your partner is actually rooting for you. She's rooting for you. Are you willing to make the changes that are needed and have the process to push through all of that resistance, right? And seeing that and understanding, even when we talk about in the program, there's a trajectory to this, right? If you think it's one moment, 1 month, 3 months, no, like you have to think about seeds long term, right? And having that perspective for me reduced a lot of the anxiety. I thought, oh, okay, this is just one day. Like, okay, another day, resistance from another day. And now this is a lifestyle. It really helped me put in perspective what might be happening for the resistance at that particular day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my partner and I, sorry.
No, good. That makes sense. And I want to dive deeper into that later when we talk about this notion of the paradox of change too.
Yes.
But obviously you stuck with the program.
Absolutely.
You stuck with everything. And not only did you stick with it, you were acing it. I mean, like you said, we now have a new section of the program that has your post screenshotted on there. And it's like highlighted. And it's like an example of like, this is what people should do, right? This is how the real execution and great execution looks like. So now it's early June. Mm-hmm. What's happening now?
So last week we got engaged. We've been, for the last month, we've been house hunting, looking at houses together. And honestly, even in the process of house hunting, we're still working through a lot of the issues from earlier. They come up all the time, you know, and the resistance still pops up in the middle of looking for houses. But for my partner, interesting, just yesterday, we were having a conversation and more issues were coming out. And she goes, the only reason this is coming out is because I feel more secure about telling you this stuff.
Yeah. So I think that's a great thing because a lot of people will think like issues coming out is a bad thing. It's like an inconvenience. It's like people hearing your story are now, oh, you are reconciled, but you still have issues. It's like, no, you're missing the point, right? Your partner talking to you about the issues is a good thing. You want that to happen. If you ever have a relationship that has no issues, it's not that you don't have any issues. is that your partner has zero safety to talk about it with you. Okay.
Yes.
So don't get yourself crazy like that,
Absolutely.
because we're in a relationship with another human being. We have different thoughts, we have different opinions. Sometimes we say things that might hurt each other. Sometimes we are human too, and we make mistakes, right?
Mhm.
All these things happen, but do you have the safety to talk about it and actually resolve it, find a win-win? You were looking for houses right now. You're going to have different thoughts about the houses. It's going to create different conversations around how many kids do we want to have? How do we want to raise the kids? What kind of area do we want? What's important to you? What's the priorities here? There's so many conflicts.
Yeah. Yeah. And two things, if to add to that, one thing that happened is we're looking for houses, and randomly we end up in a house that was with somebody she previously dated, right? So we're going to the house, and this is somebody she previously dated, which for most times could be super awkward, right? And she's like, "Are you comfortable going in?" I was like, "Absolutely, let's go in." And then we talked about, well, how'd you feel? How'd you feel in this relationship? And when we were done, I was like, I can't live in this house, but how did this make you feel? Right. And she talked about the relationship and what I found in that moment is she's like, when I was dating this person, I felt young and beautiful, and it was an empowering moment. Right. And that insight helped me understand, oh, you desire to feel beautiful. You desire to feel empowered. And that was an important experience for you, right? And she said, "Babe, thank you so much for listening. Like, that really meant a lot that you just listened." And
That is so massive, right? Because, I'm really saddened by society's attitude today about people having affairs, people wanting divorce, people wanting to have an open relationship. And we almost villainize and victimize people who want a divorce, who have affairs, or like stuff like that. But often, if you really think about it, who's the real victim here, right? Because we are always asking people to spend their one and only life with you, right? This is the only one and only consciousness. I don't know if you believe in reincarnation, whatever it is, but as far as I know, right, this is the only consciousness that I'm going to have.
Yes.
This is the only 90 years, 80 years I'm going to have in my life, right? Mm-hmm. Ever. And for you to ask someone to spend the rest of their life with you is a very big ask. And usually people look outside the relationship for whatever reason, want to get out of the relationship. It's not because they're non-committal. It's not because they're cheaters. It's not because of all these things that people often say. It's because they're not getting something that is fundamentally necessary for them, right? That they want. Like, imagine if you've been this person who've been dreaming about this life that you want to create, this life that you want to live forever, for all your life. Then suddenly you realize that the person you signed the paperwork with to get married cannot give you any of those things.
Yes.
And now you have to accept that your life is going to be freaking shit forever.
You're absolutely right.
And to make matters worse, right? This guy, he thinks he's so perfect. He puts the blame on you all the time. That no matter how much suppressing you do, lowering of your standards you do, how unhappy you feel, you can't even talk about it. That feels so hopeless. And affairs are bad, sure. But that is next level abuse. That's abuse that you do, that people do all the time, mm-hmm. that nobody can say anything to.
You're 100% correct. And I think my partner, the reason she wanted an open relationship is because she was like, I don't want to live with the guilt of having an affair, but I can't live with not having these needs met, right? And so I will just tell you, here's why I want it. And honestly, I just leaned into that. And what I was very systematic with it. I listened to exactly why she would want an open relationship. And in fact, we were having a conversation one time and she was talking about past relationships. And I thought, okay, I was like, can we play a hypothetical here? Imagine you're on a date and we've broken up and you're talking to that person that you're wanting to date and saying, here's what happened in the past relationship with me. What would you tell that person? right? What narrative would you tell? She was like, do you really want to know? And I was like, absolutely. Like, just pretend I'm somebody else. I'm not, not here. And just talk to me like you would. And she went through all of the things that she was unhappy with, right? And at the end, I listened carefully, paraphrased, and went home and wrote every single thing, like every detail.
I remember that. You made a post about that. I remember that. Yeah.
And then thought to myself, are these really crazy? Like, are these crazy requests, or am I not being enough?
They're all very good. Like, same thing for my partner, right? So a lot of people watching this video has not joined the program, so you won't know. But there was a time when my partner and I were exploring other relationships too. And there was a time when I played the high horse route, and I said to myself, like, no, I mean, like, I make money, I can take care of people, I'm well liked by my community, by my friends.
Yep.
I'm successful. Like, why the fuck would you not want me? Like, what do you want? Like, how can you be so entitled and so spoiled to want so many things? That's your problem, man. And it wasn't until we had a conversation similar to yours, where she was telling me about her feelings and what she truly felt, what I did. It revealed to me, wow, there's so many things I did that went beyond my consciousness, below my radar. And I never realized, like, oh my gosh, she painted a picture for me that made me say, if I was you, I would do the same thing. Like, legit, I would do the same thing.
Absolutely.
And you know what's funny too, right? Like, a lot of people looking at this and hearing the story might think, well, Quentin, aren't you going to spend the rest of your life wondering whether this person is a loyal person, whether this person can stick with you, whether this person can stick with you through thick and thin, right? Do you wonder that? Well, let me ask you that. Do you wonder that? Why don't you? What are you telling yourself? What are you seeing? What are you experiencing that makes you say, no, I'm not worried about that at all. She's 100% with me right now. She's committed right now. I mean, what makes you say that?
I'm so glad you brought that up, because even after I proposed to her, I never asked her to take the open relationship off the table. I never brought that up. Like, for all I know, she still probably thinks we're in an open relationship. Like, I don't care, right? And I don't care because I'm absolutely confident that this is my lifestyle. Like, that I will do this for the rest of my life. And that even if it doesn't work here, I can go build a relationship that I want, that I know that I can do that. But why I'm confident about it, her thing, is I also see how the seeds grow, and you're like, how she softens, how she opens up, and you're like, wow.
It's incredible because I feel that with my relationship too, because like when I decided to get back with my partner too, there was a lot of doubters, especially people who subscribe to the very like traditional way of thinking about relationships, etc.
Yes.
It's like, are you sure, man? Right? Aren't you going to sleep with one eye open the whole time? But when I look at my relationship now, we are now 7.5 years in, right? We're building a house together. We're getting married next year, 2 weddings. We're talking about kids already. And I've never met someone, and I don't think I'll ever meet anyone else who's so committed to me, who will stand by me no matter what. And it makes me cry just thinking about it because it's amazing.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, I went through some really dark times in my life building this business, really tough moments. And she was there with me every step of the way. Whenever she goes out with her friends, I know she's talking really amazing things about me every single time. Because whenever I meet her friends, they tell me what she has said.
Yes.
Without me even asking.
Yes.
Right? And sometimes she would have these Freudian slips of what she thinks about me. You know, you have that. These slips of like, these sarcastic comments here and there, right? They're always positive. They're never deprecating. Yes. You know? So she is 100% here, right? She goes so much far out of her way to do the chores, to do all the house planning. Like, she's designing the house herself with a designer right now. I'm not doing anything on that front, right? She's so sold on this one. And it went from the part where she wanted an open relationship. She wanted to explore the relationships. So this goes to show, like, people need to be slower to assign
behaviors to character, to personality, to permanent things about people.
Absolutely.
You cannot say that. You have to understand that once you change someone's context, someone's environment, you change their behavior. And context has a very, very big effect on behavior. And we know this from many, many research studies, endless research studies on this one, right? And I think you're seeing the same thing too, where you're now posting posts from your partner, how, like, I think the other one was like, the recent one was like, hey, Quentin, please don't die.
Yes. Yeah.
Because like, I can't find anyone else like this.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, like, yeah.
Absolutely. Then to add to what you were saying, one of the things learning in a program is your partner's always rooting for you. And think about the resistance they're giving you is also how much they want you, right? It's just in the opposite direction. And once that clicked, I remember telling my fiance this, and she goes, duh, stupid. I've been trying to tell you that the entire time.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that as the first point, right? So like we established like where you were to where you are now. And your partner is now like really into you, really like rooting for you, really saying, like taking every opportunity she has to tell you how much she cares about you, she appreciates you, she loves you, how she doesn't want to lose you. I mean, this is legit. These are legit feelings. But let's talk about that resistance for a bit, because a lot of people don't understand this. So we always say that when you're trying to fix a relationship, you are going to face this time called the paradox of logic.
Yes.
And the thing that people always say at this point in time, this is crucial, guys. I want you to pay attention here. Okay. The thing people always say is, Jeff, I think this is hopeless and I'm not willing to try anything right now because my partner said it's hopeless. Because my partner said to me, don't try. I'm never going to change my mind. No matter what you do, no matter how much time passes, I will never let this go. I can never change my mind. Yes. The damage is done. Please do not spend money on anything that tries to fix this relationship. I'm done. Did your partner say that to you or no?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, but it was more like, I don't believe you can change. Let's just have this open relationship. Yeah. Right.
A different form. I mean, like, the point is like, this can come in different forms.
Absolutely.
Right. The resistance to you changing, 100%. To you trying, putting in effort, whatever it is.
Yeah. She resisted changes. She resisted how I would change, because in her mind, she's like, is this going to be consistent? Like, oh no, this is just like past relationships, past stuff, and confirmation bias is not just you, it's also the history that she brings to the relationship.
Yes, exactly. And I think the part that I want to stress though is, so people hear that and they give up.
Yes.
So imagine, put yourself in your partner's shoes for a bit, right? I want people who are listening to put yourself in your partner's shoes a bit. Your partner has been burned by you so many times. Burn meaning that she's tried to tell you the problem. She tell you how unhappy she is. And what do? You tell her things will be better. You're going to change. We're going to fix this. It'll work itself out. And she trusts you. Okay, if you say so. Right? She trusts you. She surrenders to that. But she gets burned. It doesn't come true. Things doesn't get better. It gets worse. Mm-hmm. So she's like, okay, now I really want to go. And then you go, no, hold on. Let me give you all these reasons again. I'm going to change. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be better. Yet again, she's burned. And depending on how long the relationship goes, this can go twice, 3 times, 4 times, 20 times, 40 times, 60 times. In your partner's mind right now, she's thinking, okay, fool me 40 times, freaking shame on me. I'm not going to fall for this again.
Yes.
So now, the only way she can know whether your changes are legit, are genuine, are real or not, is if you can show her that your changes are unconditional. That you're doing it because you want to. You're not doing it to get an outcome. You're not doing it to have something, to get something. You're doing it because you are.
Yep.
Because if she knows that you're doing it to get something, then once you get that thing, you'll stop because you don't like doing the changes. It's not like a deep identity shift for you, right? So imagine if your partner tells you it's hopeless, man. and you go, okay, well, I don't want to change anymore then if you did that, your partner was right. Your changes was never real in the first place, because like as soon as the conditions for you to change goes away, you go away. You stop wanting to change.
Yep.
It's impermanent, right? And the last thing I'm going to say is like a lot of people imagine this alternative reality where their partner tells them, "Oh, I believe you can change. You know, I will come back if you change. I have hope." And let's say you start changing because you have all this motivation now. How would your partner know that your changes are because you are, it's permanent, or because she gave you hope? How would she know?
Yep.
She wouldn't. So she has to make it hard. She's rooting for you, but she will never say it because she wants to know, what are you truly made of? Think about that. Think deeply about that. Pause. If you want to pause this video, guys, think about that. And I think that was the realization that you had as well, of like this resistance. It's like a big opportunity to show how real the changes are.
Yeah, there's an important story to add to that, how deep the resistance go. So the week before, we're planning on our engagement, right? Because I have my daughter, we have to schedule. That week, my partner's resistance shoots out the roof. I mean, and it's constant to the point where the day that we're going to travel, we're bringing up still issues from the past. And she's even saying she's terrified that she's thinking she's self-sabotaging this, right? And she is really upset and resistant. And I just kept pushing through to the point where she's almost feeling like he's going to now leave. He's going to abandon. He's not going to follow through, right? And it was at that moment, I literally just grabbed her and held her and said, we're still doing this. Let's go, right? And it would be easy to just give up, like to just stop. It wasn't until later that night, she said to me, I really thought you were going to just let this moment go and we wouldn't have this moment, right? I really thought that because it didn't have this picturesque moment to it, you would just not move forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you brought up like an interesting point, because like when your partner's testing you like that, it's not like they're this cunning, mastermind who's like, let me give him this test, see how he does. Oh, like they're not doing that, right? What they're doing is like, they're acting out of emotion sometimes, they're acting impulsively sometimes, and they're saying what comes to their mind because you create safety, etc. And they're saying what they truly will feel.
Yep.
And then they look at your behavior and they look at it and they reflect on it afterwards and go like, what does that tell me? Right? And so it's almost like a hindsight 2020 thing. And everything you do, guys, especially what you do during resistance, matters a lot. And it's especially during the moments of extreme resistance that what you do matters a lot, right? So if you give up or if you crumble in the wrong times, if you have the wrong paradigm of how you should see resistance and you crumble the wrong times, all that's going to happen is your partner is going to reflect on that and go like, ooh, okay, I was right to leave. Oh, thank goodness, right? But
Absolutely.
if you do the right things during that time, your partner will reflect on that and slowly go, maybe she won't go, oh, let me come back. But she'll go, that didn't go how I thought it would go. Interesting. And if you can keep compounding these moments of you turning negative to positive and just shocking your partner with the way you react and you change, that compounds to be like, okay, now I'm struggling. I'm really conflicted now. I'm really struggling now.
Yes.
Okay. Then eventually she starts to question the other side. Maybe it was wrong of me to leave. Then she starts to see confirmation bias on the other side. But this is a very slow process that requires you to be very consistent.
Yes.
All right.
Consistent and deliberate and very thoughtful. So when I was making a list of things that my partner wasn't happy with, I also, as facing the resistance, would strategically meet that need. Okay, I wasn't meeting this. And she's like, you're now doing this. Oh, you're now doing that. You didn't do that before. You didn't come to this before, but you're now listening again. this is different.
Yeah, this is different. Exactly. So I want to talk about the second point, which is kind of along the lines of these internal shifts that you talk about,
Yes.
right? And we talk about as well. And how, in order for you to really thrive through resistance, through these moments like this, because again, when your partner's giving you resistance like this, the pace of change, she's not like, you need to be very consistent, right? Meaning that you can't just be surviving through this. You can't just be like holding things in and like, okay, I'm not angry, so it's okay, right? You actually need to turn this from negative to positive. You actually need to thrive in this, dance in this, right? So there's this effortlessness, there's this levels that we're trying to achieve. Most people's levels are like, if I don't get angry, if I don't snap, if I don't make mistakes, it's a good thing. No, we're not turning it from negative to neutral. We're saying negative to positive. Yeah. And the first ingredient that's needed for that is these internal shifts. So I guess, these internal shifts and this emotions management topic has been a problem for you from the very beginning, because you mentioned like when kind of life hits the fan, you don't know how to deal with it still. When your partner gives you resistance, you don't really know how to deal with it in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And it probably happened in the previous relationship too.
Absolutely. Yes.
How is your idea of what internal shifts, what they mean? How has that changed since before and after you joined the program? Like, what's your paradigm of it now?
They're everything. They're everything. The paradigm internally, it's like I'm talking to a new person. And in fact, the shifts are seeing resistance differently, seeing the internal shift, seeing why I'm doing, what's the underlying reason, making sure that I meditate, sitting in the seat of consciousness, like being aware of my emotions and learning to sit with them, like not pushing them away, not hiding them, but what are they? Why are they there? What are they telling me? Okay.
Let's talk about that for a bit, right? So I want to talk about the first, I guess, major misconception people have about what it means to be bulletproof, what it means to manage emotions.
Yes.
So, I think if you talk to a lot of people about managing their emotions, they will say, oh, they will tell themselves like, just stay calmer, dude. Like, just relax.
Yeah.
Right. They will tell themselves some mantras here and there, maybe do some breathing exercises. Right. So they're trying to change their emotions after the emotions has formed, mm-hmm. which is not what we're trying to do. Because if you're doing that, you're always going to be fighting that emotion. The emotion arises. You're a slave to your emotion. They arise. Whatever emotions that comes to mind arise. Right. Then after the emotions arise, you're doing so much, using so much energy, so much effort to try to quell that. But in the heat of the moment, you can't do that. No wonder a lot of approaches fail. So what we do in the program is we say, let's look at how emotions form. Emotions form via the way we interpret our world.
Yes.
We know this because like you have 100 people looking at the same concert and they're going to have 100 very different emotions about it because they're interpreting it very differently.
Yes.
All right. Interpretations make emotions. So if we want to change emotions, we have to change the interpretations that we have about a certain event.
Yes.
So that's the goal, right? So for example, if we change our interpretation of how we see resistance as an opportunity, like we talked about earlier, we have thousands of people now, myself included, yourself included, who whenever you get resistance, you smile. You legit feel happy.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, fucking game on. Let's do this. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, fine. But a lot of people get resistance and they crumble.
Yes.
Right. So the approach difference is that I want to change people's paradigm and the way they see things, the way they see different instances and events and relationships, so that when things happen, when bad things happen, you smile, you thrive. You don't need to tell yourself like, keep it together. You're together. It naturally happens. It's a programmatic thing that happens. Mm-hmm. Right. But that's the shift part, shifting your interpretations. But what you're saying also is we have what we call in the program seat of consciousness.
Yes.
This is when you're trying to observe whatever emotions come, whatever negative emotions come. Once you observe it, accept it, then shift it.
Yep.
Once you shift it, observe the new emotion.
Yep. And
the best example of the state of consciousness, guys, that I can give is almost like, we give the example of the purple giraffe paradox. So guys, don't think about a purple giraffe. What's the first thing you think about? The purple giraffe, even though I said don't think about it. And when we say to ourselves sometimes, don't get angry. Don't get angry. You shouldn't feel angry. You shouldn't feel upset. You shouldn't feel betrayed. And you're trying to talk to yourself to say, like, don't do this. You're trying to reject the initial emotion. Often we actually make ourselves more angry.
Yes.
Because now, not only are we feeling angry about the event, but now we're feeling angry about us feeling angry, right? And it just compounds the emotion and doesn't work. So the state of consciousness is a crucial first step to being able to accept the emotion so we can shift it properly. We can't shift it if we're trying to reject it. Once we shift it, then we observe the new emotion, right? And that's the most effortless Tai Chi flow you can have to emotions management. Like, things accepting, shifting, and accepting. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that shift is also how you prepare to deal with your partner's resistance.
Mm.
And so
Tell me more about that.
a good example is one of the things that I work on, and that I do in my auto suggestions that clicks in whenever I feel emotion. I'll feel it and I'll say, oh, this is anger. Oh, welcome, anger. You are on a hero's journey, right? To heal generational trauma. Good to meet you. Like, what are you telling me? Oh, you're telling me this is, and then and then it's like, but no, and then I'll reframe it. Oh, but this is the journey that you're on to heal your trauma. Welcome. So this happened. My partner, we're in a situation. We were talking about past issues. She got really upset. My daughter was in the car, storms out the car, goes into the house, super mad. In the past, I would have lost my shit, just been like, forget it, go home. Next, I just said, oh, this is emotion. Welcome. You're on the hero's journey to heal generational trauma. Let's go, right? Instantaneously told my daughter, hold on just a second, went in the house, just held her and said, I'm not leaving. I know that was a rough conversation. I know that has you scared. I'm not going anyplace. Mm. That move for her was everything, because it made it feel like she could have a reaction and that I wouldn't then react in a way that made her feel alone, that I would still come through. Yeah. And that's how I saw the resistance. This is just another opportunity to build emotional safety. Great. Give it to me.
I love that. So I think what you're referring to is almost like how a lot of people in life, they get so lost into their emotions, right? Something does something bad to them. This is the essence of road rage, right? Or like rage in any context. Someone says something mean to them, something disrespectful. They feel the emotions. They can't observe it. They can't accept it. They can't separate themselves from their emotions. They are the one feeling angry, and they just backlash and they just react to it, right? But what you're saying is like the state of consciousness has allowed you to kind of be in your director's chair, observe things from a very, not, I wouldn't say detached, but like non-attached angle.
Yes.
Where whenever you feel angry, you know that you're not feeling the anger. Yes. Whenever someone says something mean to you, you know that it's not personal. You're just kind of watching a movie and being this objective and being this very strong figure on the back end going, okay, interesting that happened. Let's respond to it, not react to it. Let's respond to it. That's when you can still be in a logical part of understanding, okay, here's how I need to reframe resistance. Here's how I need to reframe these moments. But if you're lost in that emotion, you can't do that, right? You can't do that. That's a very, very important skill. Like, I think a lot of people don't have that, and they're just being swung left and right, and their emotions are such a mystery to where, like, whatever happens causes my emotions. I have no control over it. I have a bad day, good day, whatever it is. They can't control that, which is a big shame.
And that's one of the things that really the program focuses on. It's not reframing one time, reframing twice. It needs to be your lifestyle. It needs to be something you're doing consistently every day, right? Yeah. So that then you can deal with the emotions as they come up. Because if you think, oh, here's the emotion, it came up, I'm going to deal with it afterwards. And then not think about it for 6 months until it comes up again, it's going to fail. It has to be deliberate every single day.
And I think that's a great point, because I think that's also another misunderstanding people have about what it means to manage emotions, right? People think it's about using the willpower to really notice like what you're feeling at a particular point in time, notice the interpretations, and then try to reinterpret that. Like, it's not what we're saying, right? That's a really archaic way of doing things, because at any given moment, you are given infinite numbers of stimuli at any given moment. And at a given moment, you're making infinite numbers of interpretations, conscious and subconscious. And at every moment, those infinite interpretations are giving you many, many different emotions. So if you are trying to consciously do that and try to shift everything, that's your full-time job. Like like it's like trying to like make your heart beat, and then like, the stomach keep digesting, keep breathing, keep whatever it is, your body, right? It's like, no, you have to make it automated. You have to change the way you're programmed to see events. Absolutely. And the reflexive interpretations that come to it. And that's the part that Quentin is saying, that takes practice, that takes a lifestyle, because like a performer, like you need to understand how to program that stuff so that when it comes time to perform, to live your life, when you're faced with these things, you are not accidentally doing the right things, not accidentally doing the wrong things. Mm-hmm. It's like that saying, don't practice till you can get it right. Practice till you can't get it wrong.
Absolutely.
Right. That's what Quentin is saying, guys. Right.
And for me, though, practicing, put it in the larger context for me in the program is to say, the bad habits that I have, those are generations built up, passed down. It's not something that you can overcome overnight. This is connected to my brother and my mother. Their relationship fell apart in very similar ways my relationship fell apart. So I'm watching generational patterns occur and thinking I can change them in 1 month, 2 months, a year. No, like this has to be my new lifestyle to push back on the very patterns that have been my life since I've known it.
But it's not even just generational, right? So I love it how you say that, because I think a lot of people, I often say to people like, dude, you've been messing up. You've been living a certain way all your life. How can you expect to change in a month? But you're saying, no, it's not just your life. It's like your ancestors' life and the influence they have on you. But even if you think about the influence that society has on you.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly. And how you have society who is giving you all these bad paradigms about relationships, about everything that makes you angrier, makes you more frustrated. Then you have your family. Then you have your past. Then you have your culture, the collective culture of what is acceptable. Then you have your friends. I mean, these are all forces that are going to push you a certain way. Absolutely. But what we're doing is we're saying like, no. I understand what the better way to live life is, the happier way, the more effortless way, the more effective way. And it's a constant battle to negate what society tries to program into us. And I think this is a very insidious thing that happens, because even now, right, I still find myself having some broken layers in my Bulletproof vest. Now, the broken layers that I have are not probably what other people would struggle with. They're next level stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, you're always finding new things, because you always find like, wow, this event in my life, this small piece of feedback, this small piece of thing that someone said to me one day when I was like 6, it really did affect me. It really did affect my outlook on things. And it takes a conscious effort to reprogram that, identify that first, reprogram that, etc. And I think that's a constant lifestyle too, where it never ends. You're always going to find new things because they're so subconscious,
Absolutely.
I love it. And so that's the internal shifts. But also, I think I want to lead to the next point here, which is kind of the benefits of being in that seat of consciousness too, being a better observer of your life. Because, when we talk about eventually talking and conversing with your partner, we talk about this notion of being able to deeply understand someone, deeply paraphrase someone, etc. And we'll talk more about the implications of that, the paraphrase and everything like that later on. But, I think, and you tell me what your thoughts are on this, a lot of people struggle to understand other people. So, for example,
yes,
we were talking earlier about this notion of like, dude, have you ever put yourself in your partner's shoes and really see how she feels to make her go look elsewhere, for example, right? Have you put yourself in your partner's shoes to understand like how hopeless she must feel when she's in this catch-22 where she's suffering, but she can't even talk about it, or to have her one and only life wasted? Have you actually thought about that? Or even when we talk about stonewalling and how we say like, have you thought about how stonewalling is not always this abusive thing that people do, that it's actually an environmental issue, that you actually stonewall yourself? Because the truth is this: a lot of people have stonewalled, a lot of people have lied, a lot of people have gaslit, a lot of people have had a lot of thoughts around cheating. Many people have cheated. Many people are addicted to porn. Many people are doing things that are considered very toxic and very damaging in relationship setting and in life setting. Very embarrassing stuff. We've all done some crazy, stupid, toxic stuff.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But nobody has ever observed the times that they do it. Observe the why behind why they do it, the feeling behind it.
Yes.
So when they see other people doing the same thing, they judge very quickly.
Yes.
Right? Because they've never seen that I've done that too.
Yes.
But when you have the seat of consciousness, you start to observe life a lot more, yourself a lot more, your partner a lot more. And so now when you see your partner doing all these things that are considered like less than godly, whatever it is, you have a lot of compassion to it. You understand it. You're capable of understanding it. And you are slower to judge, but you're faster to understand.
Absolutely.
I mean, tell me your experience in this, because this has been one of the most like magical things I've ever experienced in my life. Like being able to just live in harmony and understanding of people like that, you know?
You know, this is probably one of the most interesting forms of resistance that I had in the relationship itself when coming back. And it's really interesting because the thing is, one major flaw I had previously is the paradox of logic, what I call the emotional meat grinder, right? It's basically every argument, I'm taking your argument and running it through an argument like we're in a debate. And why that matters is because what I would do is listen very carefully to my partner. I could listen to her. I could paraphrase her cognitively. I could almost repeat what she was saying word for word at times, right? And then I'd come in and just cut it apart. That destroyed so much emotional safety for her because she kept saying, you get me cognitively, but you never get me on an empathetic level.
I love that.
And it's so damaging because I feel safe that you understand me and then you just cut me, right? When getting to the program, that is one of the major lessons that I learned, is to move to the empathetic level and understand, put myself in their shoes. What would I do? And what I found is a lot of times it's like, wow, I believe just like you do, right? I've been in that situation with the open relationship. I've wanted an open relationship in my previous marriage because I was so disappointed. Once I put myself in that shoes, I was like, oh, you have all these desires that you didn't feel were getting met, and you just feel hopeless. You just want to feel desired, have fun.
Yeah.
That makes complete sense. I would do the same thing if I were in your shoes. And at that point, that was what helped me accept her decision for the open relationship, because I thought, oh, I thought about the same thing. Like, nothing's wrong with you. It's not a character issue. It's a condition.
I love that. And there's so much I can say about this, but I'm going to keep it to like the key points here. But guys, like there's so much here, right? So let's peel back into understanding like, why is deeply understanding someone so important, right? Because that's the essence of trust. That's the essence of, so for example, okay, there's two kinds of trust. There's a trust to express and there's a trust to listen. Trust to express is emotional safety. Trust to listen is psychological safety, right? So for your own life, what would make you trust someone enough to want to explore and express some pain, some joy, any emotions that you have. Someone who you feel like understands you, or someone who you feel like lives in a completely different world than you? Answer is fucking obvious. Of course, the people who can relate to you. Like, I'm not going to talk about my business woes and business troubles with someone who's not even capable of understanding me on a deep level. The deeper I can feel someone can understand me, the more I want to express. Now, who do I listen to? How many times have you said, Quentin, in your mind, someone gave you some advice, right? Before digging deeper into your life story, what you experience, before digging and understanding what the actual problem is. And they give you some feedback, some advice. Here's what you need to do, son. And then in your mind, you reject it. Because in your mind, you say, what the fuck do you know? You've never lived a day in my shoes. You don't know what it's like to be an entrepreneur. You don't know what it's like to do this. You don't know what it's like to do that. What do you know?
Nope.
So again, the reason why you reject that is because you don't feel the other person can understand you. That's crucial. When you can understand someone and make the other person feel understood, that's the essence of negotiation 101, of sales 101, of trust, building trust 101. And if you look at any sales books, any negotiating books, any trust building books, you will see that's the basic tenet of everything.
Absolutely.
Which is why it's so crucial.
Absolutely. And that's why in many cases I was breaking down safety, because I'm thinking I'm on this high horse, like, look at me, I'm covering. And I'm realizing, oh, that's not a big issue, but I'm not paying attention to the details. I'm not emotionally understanding or to see. I just completely missed her worldview that is a major issue that I just thought, oh, yeah, who cares? Right?
Yeah.
Why does that matter?
And it's like, it's not to say that you should never give advice. You should never say your piece. You should never logically say something. That's not saying that, right? What we're saying is this. Sometimes, I don't know about you, but like there's many moments in my life back then when I would think I have listened well. And my partner would be saying like, dude, you're not fucking listening to me. You're not understanding me. Forget it. Yes. But then in my head, you know what I was thinking? I was thinking, well, I'm listening well enough to be able to respond to you. So I must be listening. Like I'm listening because I know how to respond. My response is me showing you, implying that I'm listening. But it's like, you're missing the whole point, right? She's not trying to tell you, don't ever give suggestions. Don't ever give your thoughts. Don't ever give your logical thoughts. But she's telling you in the right time, my man, right?
100%.
Like
100%.
People want to feel understood first. That's a basic nature of people, right? You do this too. It's not just your partner. You do this too. Everyone who's listening to this does this too, right? If that example that I gave you of like that person giving you advice, if that person had taken the time to actually understand your point of view, understand your real struggles, establish a rapport to suggest that, dude, I have been through your situation. I can sympathize with you. I understand you. His advice would have been taken much better. 100% of the time. And
sometimes the advice may be the same advice.
It's spoken in the same way, with the same words.
Yeah.
You could be showing her a recording of that. And it'd be taken in a very different way, depending on the context of how you frame it.
And I think there's a great example with a conversation we just had 2 days ago about taking a trip back to my hometown, Denver, Colorado. And before I would have just thought practically we can't afford it. It's not feasible. Therefore, maybe I should just go and you should stay. And then just left it at that, right? And she would have been upset because she felt excluded. This time, rather than just making the logical piece, what do you think about it? Understanding your perspective. And come to find out that what she said is, I understand that financially it may not be feasible. However, I know it's important for you to be back in Denver, and I want to just feel like I'm included in that decision. And I thought, oh, okay, that's a completely different perspective. And then my response to say, hey, babe, I understand that that's important. In this time, I'm only going back to care for my mom. What's really, really important is that you come when the entire family's there, which is here. And she's like, oh, okay. I just want to be included into the family piece. Okay, I don't need to just do the kind of caretaking part.
Exactly. So not only is it makes it easier for your partner to listen to you, take your point of view, but in trying to understand someone, you often discover things, other perspectives from the other party.
Yes.
That makes you understand that the win-win is actually a lot easier. So we had an interview with Spencer Davis. You know him, right?
Yes.
The pilot guy. And he was talking about like how he was struggling in this relationship about like his wife doesn't want kids, but I think he doesn't want kids. His wife wants kids.
Yes.
And a lot of people would say like that's a problem that you can't reconcile. It's like, but it's like no. Let's really understand the underlying reasons of why you decide those things. Realize that we all just want the same things, the same basic human needs fulfilled. We have a different way of fulfilling those human needs. But once we connect that, we realize that, oh, the win-win is actually a lot easier to have. So while a lot of people, the way they converse is like, well, here's my opinion, butt heads. Let me tell you how I'm right. Let me tell you how I'm right, butt heads. There's no understanding in that process whatsoever. There's no antithetic thinking in a way, right? But if you start to actually antithetically think and have a different mindset and a different way of driving and flowing the conversation, you realize that I can find win-wins anywhere I go, like you said, right? It's so easy.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And it is thinking antithetically and being patient and listening to your partner's perspective, like asking, okay, so tell me, why do you feel this way? And then paraphrasing that. So you feel this way because you feel, oh, I would feel excluded if you went to see your family and they're super important and I wasn't invited. I understand why.
But I think the important part, Quentin, I want to point out is like a lot of people will take that and they'll just say the words, like you said. Yes. They just say the words like, I understand how you feel. But we feel this when we talk to people, right? Yes. Some people can say like, yeah, I understand you. But it's like, do you really though? Like I have no good reason to think why you would understand this. Mm-hmm. I don't even feel that you understand this. Mm-hmm. I just hear you saying the words. Like understanding is not an external process of you saying something. Understanding is a very internal process. And once you have the internal process of like truly understanding your partner, and you can paraphrase that, right? That should actually move your partner. Like the standard for how much you understand your partner is not how your partner is saying like, yeah, that's exactly how I feel. Like a lot of people say this, right? Well, my partner agreed with my paraphrase, but how come she's not feeling safe? Did you move her with it? If you didn't move her with it, you haven't understood deep enough yet. You don't know what it means to understand then. That's a next level skill, right?
Yep. And are you consistently moving her? You trust her your paraphrase if you consistently do it. So you may be able to get her to say, I understand at one time. But if it doesn't have a larger context where she feels deeply understood, she's like, I don't trust that understanding. But if you've created a deep understanding, that one time, oh yeah, but she trusts that there's a deeper connection to it. It's the consistency of making your partner feel understood.
I love that.
Making this your lifestyle.
Yeah. And I think just to show people the depth of how much you need to understand and how a lot of people standards of like understanding, I think doesn't match what we try to get you to be. I was having a coaching call with a client and it's actually a she, because we usually enroll men, but in this case it's a she. She was saying, Jeff, I understand why my partner wants a divorce. I get it. I 100% understand it. And I'm like, do you really? Like, let's pause here, right? Are you in a position where you can say to yourself, if I were you, I would have done, thought, felt exactly the same? She says, yeah, 100%. It's like, okay. So you're saying that if you were your partner, you would feel so hurt to the point where you don't even want to say a word to your partner. Your partner, you can sense your partner is like suffering, wanting so bad to reconcile and trying to like amend or atone for their mistakes, their past mistakes. And you just treat your partner like they're dead to you. You mean you have put yourself in your partner's shoes so well to the point where you understand why your partner's doing that? And she goes, well, I understand why he wants divorce, but I don't understand why he would go so far as to avoid me like this. Like, then you haven't understood deep enough yet.
Yes.
Right. Then if you cannot say, I would have felt exactly the same, with the same intensity, with the same every single detail, then you haven't understood your partner yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because there has to be some context, some concoction of context that would make your partner's behavior make sense. The same way, oftentimes in our life, we often find ourselves desperately saying in our life, if only they knew my full story. People judge you prematurely. People blame you prematurely, and it's just like, I don't have time to explain my side here. There's too many layers to this, right?
Yes.
You only wish you could. Your partner just wants the same thing.
Mm-hmm. And it requires really system thinking to how you destroyed emotional safety in the relationship, and identifying why your partner would respond in that way with how you destroyed emotional safety.
Exactly.
So one thing, going back to the paradox of logic, me just arguing everything, I really put myself in my partner's shoes and thought, oh no, that was how I felt as a child. I had to argue everything, the basic need, like, hey, can I have a piece of candy, right? Hey, can I go outside, right? And I realized I made my partner have to argue for something like she just wants to hold my hand. And I thought, how absurd is that? How, if I was pissed as a kid, why wouldn't she be so furious? So every time that comes up, she's going to resist it. She's going to feel like, no, fuck this. I'm not talking to this dude. Like, this is a nightmare, right?
Yeah.
And in putting myself in her shoes, you have to humble yourself and go, yeah, I would do the same thing. Like, if you're in this situation, I would want to throw that at me too.
Yeah. And I want to close off that one topic with this one, because I think a lot of people listening to what we're saying here about like how there has to be some context, some concoction, some combination of context that can allow you to understand why your partner did the things she does, to make your partner's behavior make sense. And a lot of people will say, well, what if there isn't? What if she's just crazy like that? What if she's just like toxic like that? If you don't think there is a combination of context that would make your partner's behavior make sense, your partner is right to leave. She should leave, and she should never look back, because you are basically saying that there's something so deeply wrong and flawed with your partner that there's no way that her behavior can ever be understood, can ever be justified.
Yes.
And you're saying that when your partner comes back to you, that's going to keep happening. You misunderstanding is going to keep happening.
Yes.
In that case, you need to let her go.
Yes.
Because you are not capable of understanding.
Yes. And I think that is probably one of the biggest lessons from the program, and why coming into the program, taking serious to bury your head in the program and shield out the other stuff, because this is exactly what happened in our relationship. We went to see a therapist. The therapist blamed her basically and made it a character issue, right? And it was as if something's wrong with her behavior. Something's wrong with, and she needs to fix that before being able to be in a relationship. Not understanding, no, it's a condition. It's a condition. And I'm contributing to that condition. And you're right. That was why my partner wanted to open a relationship, because she just thought, well, if it's hopeless, then so what? Like, I can't do anything. So
it's ridiculous how a therapist can say that, can do that, because like there's like a thread going on right now made by a bunch of therapists who doesn't know my work at all, who's basically saying like, well, how come he's never recommending therapy to people? He's just trying to sell his program, whatever. It's like, do you understand that we enroll 1,000 plus people every single year? And of those 1,000 people, so many people have experiences like you with therapists, where they're just like diagnosing the wrong things and telling people the wrong things. And they're supposed to be just mediators, but they're not good mediators. They're often taking you backwards. And sometimes I see some of the bad paradigms and the bad kind of thinking that people get from their previous sessions. And I have to undo that when they come to the program. And people like you realize like, wow, this is a simple case. Like, it's not unique. It's not different. It's not bad in any way. It's not a character problem in any way. This is so solvable. But when you have the wrong advice, it's just, wow, everything just becomes a nightmare.
Absolutely. And my partner is a therapist. So she is a therapist. And being in this program has helped her. And she's like, oh, I didn't realize that paradigm. You know, many of the paradigms we talk about have helped her think about what she does as a therapist itself. And so the idea that you don't recommend therapy, it's no, focus on the tools to be able to diagnose good advice and bad advice, not is it therapy or not.
Exactly. I think that's an important thing people understand is like, I'm not against therapists. There's some amazing therapists. There's some great therapists, right? I'm not saying all therapists are bad, but this is the difference between like how most people think, which is reference-based thinking. You shouldn't trust someone, especially trust someone with an academic background who you don't know how's their actual relationship like. Have they actually faced what you faced? Have they actually solved what you were trying to solve?
Yes.
All they have is just book smart. Some of the things that they say may be good, but all I'm saying is take it with a grain of salt. Be careful about who you listen to and what you listen to, right? And what we teach in the program, just like Quentin said, is like understand the principles so you can understand what is good advice, what is not good advice. And a lot of our clients do this. They still go to therapy, but now they understand like, okay, here's the advice that if that makes sense, that I'm going to get. And here's the advice that I won't get. And that's a crucial skill you have to have. Because, you know, there was a thread right now in the program about the program. I don't want to say the name, but I'll just say Marriage Helper.
Yes.
Right. And Marriage Helper has this thing where they told a lot of my clients who joined Marriage Helper before they joined me to say like, no, you have to push back when they talk about divorce. You have to push back. When your partner wants to leave, you have to push back. That ended up being the worst advice you can give to someone right then and there. Yes. Right? Because we talk about this in another video where you're not allowing the ingredients for your partner to really surrender to the decision, right? To really accept a decision, to really explore her alternatives. And you only need to worry about divorce and your partner leaving if you haven't become irreplaceable. The truth is, if you become irreplaceable, it's like, just like how with me, my relationship, I let my partner explore. It's like, hey, you want to be with me? That's fine. Explore some other people. Let me grow. And you just watch. And eventually she decided, I want to get back with you, Jeff. But when she did that, she was 100%. But imagine if you followed Marriage Helper's advice and you prevented your partner, just like North Korea, right? You pull your partner in and you tell her you can't explore that stuff. You can't do that. You can't do that. So sure, she stays. But every single day of her life, she's going to be thinking, what if? What if I explored? That itch hasn't been scratched. She can't really surrender to that relationship yet. Right? And I think that's part of what you did too, is like, you didn't pull her in. You allowed her to say like, look, I want you to live the best life possible. If you want to have an open relationship for a bit, go. But I'm going to grow myself. And eventually she's smart and she will know, who should I go with? Who's irreplaceable here? Who's going to give me that no one can give me?
Yes.
Right. So we have a thread going on like about that and how they're so glad they abandoned that and how they're adopting this new paradigm and approach, and it's working. Right? It's opening up their partner. It's creating healing. So this was the post that we're referring to. So, you know, I'm not making things up here. It's two of our members. So they're talking about how they joined Marriage Helper before and how they actually learned a lot of toxic paradigms in Marriage Helper that actually made things a lot worse in their relationship. And so Alex said this, and then of course, Claire also said the same thing, which is, I joined Marriage Helper way back when. If I remember correctly, they encourage members to push back on partners' desire to leave, divorce, etc. Oof, talk about making your partner feel as if they're trapped. And so it's not until they join this program and really undo a lot of their
previous programming, that things begin to change for them. So I'll just let you pause this video if you want to and read this comment by Claire if you want to read it. But I'll go back to the interview right now and we'll get to it again. Thanks, guys.
And I think one of the reasons why I knew this program was the right fit for me is the reasoning behind you breaking down the logic of those things, seeing the reasoning like, oh, this makes sense. Because your partner chose you. Your partner could have chosen millions of other people, but they chose you. The idea that once they're married to you, they can't choose anymore is absurd. Like, it's the false thing. So what ends up happening is they're suffering inside with wanting to make another decision, and you're just sitting there suppressing it. So even if they stay, their mind is still thinking about other decisions. Yeah. Their desires are still thinking. And so they're conflicted inside. So now you're with somebody who's conflicted inside and is with you. Imagine how much turmoil that creates in your relationship.
No, I know. It's sad. It's sad. There's so many people who are unhappy in relationships who feel stuck like that, right? Because again, the people who are villainized are always the people having the affair, always people wanting divorce, yes. Right? In your case too, your therapist was saying the same thing. Yes. Oh, you want like a high self and open relationship? What's wrong with you? Right? What's the matter with you? So it's like, but nobody villainizes the person who's making someone suffer so deeply, so secretively, under the radar, so insidiously, and often without even their knowledge, they're creating so much suffering.
Yes.
That's not talked about enough, which is a shame.
And that was my fiance's number one fear. She's like, I know I'm going to go to therapy and I know I'm going to look like the villain. I know I'm going to look like the bad, but no one is going to notice the small, subtle things you do that just completely destroy safety because they go unnoticed. They go unnoticed. You can talk your way through them, right?
They go unnoticed. Yeah. So I want to end with this notion of like how emotional and psychological safety is really the crux behind every relationship problem.
Absolutely.
Right. And we always say to people like, dude, your situation is not unique. No one's situation is that dire, whatever it is. And people still email me and go like, well, what about my situation? What about this? What if she says this? What if she says that? People don't understand something, right? The part that makes your partner feel so hopeless and hopeless enough to want to leave is not the problems itself. It's not that you guys are not having sex. It's not that you guys are having children now and you guys are stressed. You're having midlife crisis. I don't give a shit. You can keep adding to that list. I don't care. The problem is you have those problems and the fact that there's not enough safety to talk about it. Because once you have enough safety to talk about it, the floodgates of healing just opens. Now the floodgates can often come in a resistance at first. It's like, oh my God, what am I getting? But then eventually it becomes healing, right? And people don't understand that. So like, that's why we say no situation is unique, because if you create that, you remove that catch-22. Healing is a guarantee.
100%. And that's the thing. My partner had abandonment issues. I used to think that wasn't my issue, right? But providing that emotional and psychological safety completely changed that. Like, it completely changed how she responded. The safety was radically different for her. It's not unique. And the therapist would think that's her problem. No, there's no situation is unique. Create that safety and you'll be surprised why they're just wanting safety.
You do too.
Yeah, absolutely.
The reason why you want to go sometimes is like you feel hopeless. And what makes you feel hopeless is like, dude, I even know we have so many problems. I don't even know where to start. I can't even know where to bring it up, how to bring it up. I'm just forget it. That's what makes you feel hopeless. But imagine if suddenly you had this outlet to be able to go like, let me talk about my problems. And whenever I do talk about my problems, it's listened to and we come up with a win-win with it. You're like, I don't fucking care what problems we have anymore. I don't care anymore because any problems we have, I can fix it. We can fix it together. And even if I get another relationship, I'm gonna have problems, but I can fix that. No worries. I don't care.
And tying this to the earlier question on why don't I worry about my partner leaving or anything like that? Because I can create win-wins. I can create the emotional safety. I can create the context at which I absolutely know that I can understand her at a level that no one else can understand her. So what's the threat at that point? And it's a lifestyle. It's not a one-time fix. It's the thing that I want to do because that's the person I am now.
No, it's interesting you say that because like my partner has told me in the past, because like she's pretty successful, right? And she gets a lot of people like hitting on her, whatever it is in business world. And I asked her like, what are you thinking when people are doing that? I'm not concerned. I'm just like, what are you thinking? You know, like it must be nice. And she goes, you know, well, it's funny. Like whenever I'm thinking that, I'm always comparing other people to you in a good way. Like it's as if like you're playing at, you know, university level, like graduate school level, and these people are like playing in the kiddie pool. They don't know what we have. They have no idea. They're trying to do all these tricks to like impress me, whatever it is. Like they don't know how much more impressive you need to be to impress me. And that's kind of like the feeling I think you have of like, you look at other couples and you're like, there's no way, not saying other couples are bad and you're not judging here, but you're saying like, there's no way another guy, another couple could have more depth than us. There's no way. It's just impossible.
Absolutely.
It's no, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that is the key. One of the major takeaways in the program is creating emotional and psychological safety is the glue that keeps trust. When you create that, what do you have to worry about? When you know how to create it and you know how to systematically create it, you don't have to worry because an issue comes up. Oh, I know how to find a win-win. Exactly. I know how to create understanding. I know how to make her feel understood.
Yeah. I want to spend the last 5 minutes talking about kind of your experience in the program.
Yes.
Because you mentioned that you watched my videos for a long time before you joined.
Absolutely.
A lot of my videos. What was your take on, like, what was it that made you join in the first place?
The way in which you understood the larger literature on therapy and relation, but could cut through it in a very unique way. I thought, and in a way that made sense, in a way that really deeply made sense.
Basically like looking at, okay, here's all the possible paradigms or philosophies people can have.
Yes.
Here's the BS ones. Here's the good ones. Here's why this is the good ones. Here's why this is BS. Go. You decide what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's how attachment theory works. Here's why you don't want to think about attachment theory. Right? Here's why emotional safety is issue. Oh, here's how you want to make sure you build a professor, you manage your emotions. But also listening to your story about you struggling with your own relationship, like that you broke down safety, you had to learn how to rebuild it. I thought, man, this person really knows what they're talking about. Like they know their stuff.
Again, it's that building trust thing, right? It's like, because I can show you that, dude, whatever you're experiencing right now, I have probably experienced it. I've dealt with it. I know what you feel. He's probably what you feel. And it made you feel deeply understood. And I mean, before you joined the program, you didn't hear me talk about the program really.
No,
you just knew like, okay, if this guy understands me that deeply, he must know something. Right?
Yep.
And that trust again.
And like the other last piece that was the selling point was taking the mastery class. And then it was, you can fix your relationship on your own. This idea that it takes two to tango is a false solution.
It is.
And that's what I needed. I remember I went to my partner because we were thinking about going to couples therapy. And I said, I don't want to go to couples therapy. I think that's going to repeat the past of you feeling like the identified patient. I'm going to do this program because it focuses only on me. And that's it.
You know, it's a very interesting point because at some point it needs to be one person. It needs to be individuals fixing it together, right? Absolutely. It can't be a marriage counseling, a couples therapy, because again, like it somebody has to lead it. Somebody has to lead it. Somebody has to start it.
Yes.
And somebody has to not feel the victim, you know, like the one that's like pinpointed and like targeted on their back, you know. So once you join the program, I know for a lot of people watching my videos, even though my videos like 20 minutes, they're still very overwhelmed, I would say, by the program itself, because those are where we have like, we have 6 phases. We have 7 modules in each phase. Each module is like 1.5, 2 hours, sometimes even 3 hours long. You have the community who's filled with people who are just like playing and talking at a very high level. It's like, what are you talking about? Using terms and everything. What was your first impression like when you first stepped into the program? What were you thinking?
Whoo, I was like, oh man, that was my initial reaction.
What did I sign up for?
It was, wow, this is much bigger than I ever thought. Let's go.
So you were ready from the get-go.
Let's go.
What was the most valuable pieces? What were the most valuable pieces of the program? Because like structurally, you have the videos itself, you have the community, then you have the coaching calls, you have the coaching calls by other members that you can watch. I mean, there's a lot of resources here that you get access to. Like, what's the most valuable part for you?
Oh man, that's really a tough one because they all work together, and seeing that they work together is part of the program. I think not seeing them disconnected sometimes can make it really hard. The thing I would say, just on a more emotional level, is the support in the Facebook community. You post something, people are genuinely happy about your work, even if it's a small process victory, even if it's learning from a mistake, even if it's, as you know, the shitty coaching call that I had before, people were still like, no, keep going, keep pushing through, right? That support is so invaluable because you realize not only is your situation not unique, but beyond your significant other, people are rooting for you. Keep going, keep putting in the work.
So Quentin was talking about how there's like almost a meme in a program now where I'm like the tough love kind of coach, giving people whips in the ass, like I'm not doing that to like be mean or whatever it is, right? But like I know all my clients can do better. And when I look at clients that want to enroll, I ask my team members too to give people tough love during the call. If they can handle it, great, they're in. If they can't handle that tough love, even on the sales call and in the application call, forget it, you're out, right? Because sometimes we need someone to like give us a slap in the face to go like, dude, what are you doing? Wake up, right? So glad you took that well. But Quentin, this has been amazing. What a fun conversation. We went deep on a lot of parts here. Now, guys, if you want to explore this program, explore what we have to offer you, and you want results like Quentin here, we do have a masterclass down below you can join. It's going to be an hour and a half long. At the end of the masterclass, we'll show you how to apply for the program if you are interested. Just know that right now, we only have room for less than 10% of applicants. And we are very, very selective of the people we work with. And this is not because we're trying to like make this false like scarcity. It's because I'm still going to be your coach. Like legit, I'm going to be your coach. I'm going to be in there every day coaching you. And I just can't scale because I haven't found someone who can operate at a very high level like we do. All right. So we have limited spots because we want to make sure that the service that we can give, the quality of service that we can give is still going to be very, very high level. So be sure when you're applying, if you do apply, you pay attention to the application process and you do it properly. We have a lot of criteria in which we look at. One of it, like we said, is, are you coachable? So we ask that you respect that application process if you're serious about this. But if if you're serious, I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of your applications and looking to see a lot of you in the group as well, in the program as well. But Quentin, any last minute advice for people who are in your position when they first started? So a position where their partner is resisting them very highly. They don't have any hope for you or your capacity to change, any hope for the relationship really and the capacity for change. Maybe their partner's a therapist who thinks they know what's possible and what's not possible. What would you say?
I would say there's no doubt sign up for this program, no doubt. And when you sign up, really come wanting to change yourself. Really sit with who you want to become.
So Quentin,
And
let me ask you this, okay? Are you getting paid to do this interview?
absolutely not.
Freaking not. When I
Absolutely
asked you, I was like, what? What if he said, like, I always worry, like, what if people say no? Because like I'm not paying them. Are you getting paid for getting people in the program?
No, there's
So
no
we don't do
amount of
referrals.
no referrals. It was a random reach out, and instantaneously I was like, hell yeah, sign me up. There's no doubt. Absolutely not.
The point here is like, I think, you know, part of the hardest part about what I do sometimes is it's really hard to articulate with words just how much we allow you to grow in the program, right? Like, I think with an interview with Liam, he also said that. Like, sometimes I'm trying to explain it to my friends. I'm like, dude, I can't fucking do it. Like, you just have to experience it, walk the walk, just do it, and you'll see what I mean. And I think that's what Quentin is feeling too. He's like, I don't know what to say, honestly, because it's so hard to like distill it down to one advice. You just gotta experience it. So,
And if I could add, the people around you notice, my friends, my family, like they've come to me and they said, Quentin, you're different. You're a different person. And they're like, you could have easily not taken this journey. I'm so proud of you for going on this journey. I see the changes. I see it. And to me, that means everything. That's everything. Like they notice it. And they are like, I'm so glad you did it.
I love it. All right, Quentin. I won't take too much more of your time, but
No
this
problem.
was fun for me. But thank you. And I'll see you in the
Thank you very
program
much.
more and more and more. Okay. Never stop.
Absolutely. Only one process win.
All right, buddy. Have a good day.